Hi there, I'm John Broadhead with Roland Systems Group, and we're here today to take a closer look at the V-1600HD multi-format video switcher. Before we dive in, let's take a look at how this fits into the Roland video mixer lineup. We have two categories of mixer switchers: standard definition and multi-format, which supports high definition and all the various RGB computer display formats. We have the V series and LVS series in the SD mixer lineup, 4-channel versions with the V4 and LVS 400, and 8-channel solutions with the V8 and LVS 800. They differ in that the V series tends to be more performance-oriented with lots of digital effects, whereas the LVS series are more professional with straight-ahead operation and features. The LVS 800 in particular being ideal for presentations that have two separate displays. In the high-definition multi-format switcher category, we have the V-1600HD and the V440HD. The V440HD is a great bridging video mixer because it supports both standard definition and high-definition sources in component, RGB, and composite S video formats. The V-1600HD not only supports these analog video formats, but adds the digital realm of HD and SD, SDI, DVI-D, and HDMI support, allowing it to handle all the typical digital and analog video sources that are used today. All signals are synchronized and processed internally within 2 frames, making it ideal for live production. In this tutorial, we'll show the variety of output modes the V-1600HD supports that enables new visual production capabilities not available using other solutions. The large built-in display is perfectly suited for on-the-spot monitoring as well as setup. This device is really everything you need for live visual production in an all-in-one package. As you can see, there are lots of input and output connectors on the back panel. First, let's take a look at the choices of inputs. In the second row from the bottom, we have 8 HD, SD, SDI inputs. Each one of these are truly multi-format in that they can independently handle standard def or high def signals along with the differing aspect ratios. In the bottom row, there are 2 DVI-D inputs. These can be easily changed to HDMI by using a simple adapter. In the middle, we have HD, SD component as well as RGB inputs. 2 are the BNC type inputs and 2 are the 15-pin D-sub type. SD inputs in the form of composite and S-Video YC are at the top right of the rear panel. Note that each input also has dedicated through outputs, making it very easy to send to any type of monitoring device. Now let's take a look at the outputs. Located at the left bottom are 2 HD, SD, SDI outputs. Next to those are the 2 DVI-D outputs. Note the number 1 and number 2 designation on both of these sets of outputs. We'll look shortly at how to assign different material and even different formats to each of those outputs. In the middle, we have the HD, SD component and RGB output jacks. The same signal is output by both connectors. At the top right are the standard def outputs. When a signal is being sent to this output, both the composite and S-Video connector output the same thing. The V-1600HD also includes a number of connectors enabling synchronization with external equipment. First, if you have a house clock or other external reference, then you can change the sync reference in the system menu from internal to external. The reference input and through support bi-level, tri-level sync, as well as frame sync from Blackburst. In the upper left, the MIDI input-output enables synchronization with Roland audio and video products using V-Link. This can be used in a number of convenient ways, such as selecting video clips on a Roland P10 visual sampler directly from the mixer bus. Also, associating a stereo audio channel on a vMixer digital console with a video channel so that when you go live with that video source, the audio level is automatically raised at the same time. At the top, we have the RS422 jack, which allows integration with external controllers such as in-wall touch panels. As well, these tele connectors here enable integration with camera systems. As you can see, the variety of connectors available on the V1600HD make it definitely the best in its class. There are no extra cards to buy, so out of the box, you're ready to go with maximum flexibility in any production environment. Now let's take a look at the top panel. Here are the program and preview buses where you select your sources. And to the right are the buttons to control taking a source live. And this can be also accomplished with the T-bar in this fashion. As well, to the right of the T-bar is where you choose what type of transition style you want. In the upper right, there is the compositing section where picture-in-picture, the upstream keyer, and the downstream keyer can be set and engaged. We'll go into more details on each of these in a later chapter. The large high-resolution display monitor helps you look at any video source and is also used to set the numerous menu options. The built-in monitor is great for those tight spaces and mobile applications. And just under the display are the monitor select buttons that choose between a program, preview, and auxiliary bus. And beside these are buttons for each of the mixer's main functions: picture-in-picture, keyer, transition, DSK, input, output, and system functions. Below is the memory buttons, 10 of them, which are used to store and recall the setups. There are 8 banks of 8 buttons, giving you a total of 64 configurations that you can load. On the right side is the USB port that is used to import bitmaps for displaying logos or other graphics during a particular event. It's also used to store and recall system configuration files for easy backup and recall of your favorite setups. This is a very clean and straightforward layout, enabling an easy-to-use yet powerful video production tool. Let's look now at setting up our input and outputs. First, the inputs. One of the great things about the V1600HD is its auto-sensing ability. Typically, you just plug in your video source and the appropriate jack on the back, and if a signal is being received, the indicator above the particular channel button will light. If you want to adjust that image in some way, that's when we press the input button on the setup menu, and you will notice that the format is automatically displayed, whichever one that may be. Now you just press enter of the particular source that you're interested in changing, and that allows you to adjust many parameters, including the scaling, zoom, position, brightness, contrast, as well as how you want to deal with the aspect ratio, and whether that's full scale, letterbox, crop, squeeze, whatever your output format is. And going back to the input menu now, you will notice that channels 9 and 10 do not have selectable sources. Channels 1 to 8 are selectable between SDI and still image. Channels 11, 12 between RGB component and DVI-D and HDMI. Channel 13 between composite and S-video, and channel 14 between a solid color and the still image. Simply select the format under the channel number and turn the value wheel to select between the two particular options. Even though channels 11 and 12 are shared between 4 different connectors, you can still connect all inputs and use the memory recall buttons to switch between, for example, channel 11 component source and channel 11 HDMI source. Now let's look at how to load a still image. We have a USB flash key. We just connect it to the side here, And after connecting it, we go to page 2 of the system menu, down to parameter storage, press enter. And now we want to select the size that the particular USB image will take, in this case HD 720. And now hit the enter button beside the memory position you want to load. The flash drive is then accessed and the list of compatible bitmap files are showing. Now we select enter and the still image is now available for channel 14, or in fact any of channels 1 through 8. Let's look at setting up the output bus now. What the output menu shows depends on what mode the system is set to. We'll talk about each of those modes later. First, select the output setup button. And in the typical DSK or AUX mode, you will find a menu page that allows setting the format and source assignment for each bus and output connector. By selecting enter under the program bus, you are then able to adjust the scaling, the zoom, position, brightness, contrast, saturation, RGB, color balance, and even edge blending. The input and output setup menus offer complete control of formatting, routing, positioning, and even color. Let's take a look now at how to switch video. There are 2 rows of 14 input selectors, one for program and one for preview and effects. The input status indicators above the top row of buttons show which inputs are connected and actually sending signal. First, let's press the preview button under the monitor section. Now we're going to select the channel that we want to see on that particular preview bus. This confirms we have the correct source before going live with it. The output to the program bus happens just by simply hitting the take button, or in fact just using the T bar in this particular case. Notice now how the channel button you just selected is in red, and the bottom row has a channel in green that was previously live, which is now being shown on the preview monitor as it has become the source being previewed. How a source transitions to the next source is determined by the buttons to the right of the T-bar. In addition to straight cuts, you can use 3 different types of dissolves as well as 4 white pattern presets. Choose from the 27 different white patterns simply by hitting the transition button here, and at this point you can go into the menu and just choose which particular white pattern you want. This menu also allows you to set the units of time between seconds, frames, or a combination of both. The transition time is available on this menu as well as on the time dial above the white pattern buttons. Let's take a look at picture-in-picture operation. This section here of the mixer controls the picture-in-picture parameters. I've got one source live, as indicated by the program bus here. I then select the source that I want to inlay on the preview bus. If I have the preview monitor button set, as well as the on button lit in the picture-in-picture setup, I can see how it will look before taking it live. I then just press the take button to go live or move the T-bar. Note how both the source buttons and the picture-in-picture on buttons are now red because both sources are now live. Press the control button to light the P&P button here, and you can now adjust the size and the position of the particular picture-in-picture window with the size knob. When you select the view button here and it lights up, the control is now moving the source and the material within the picture-in-picture window. To adjust more of the picture-in-picture details, select the P&P button here. The menu now enables control of aspect ratio, size, view adjustments, as well as the color of the border. Let's look now at how to use the keyer. This particular section of the mixer controls the keyer. Because this mixer also has a downstream keyer, which we'll discuss shortly, we call this the upstream keyer, and is typically used to layer a live video source over a background, ideal for news or interview applications. The first step in keying is setting the color that you want to make transparent. This is set by pressing the key button under Setup. Here, the second parameter down allows you to choose black or white luminance and green or blue chroma keying. Now, let's select the particular background we want on the program bus and make sure the monitor is set to preview, and then select the image to composite on the preview bus. And then let's turn on the key button. We can adjust the composited image using the level and gain knobs. Level is for controlling the key color level, and gain is for adjusting the level of transparency and edge blur. Once it's adjusted to your liking, press the take button or move the T-bar. And to remove it from the program output, press the take again, or just move the T-bar back to the opposite position. The V-1600HD has 5 different operational modes. The DSK mode is the mode used in typical broadcast and production applications. The AUX mode is used when you want to output 2 different video formats simultaneously, such as an 1080i HD signal to a projector, while at the same time down converting the same signal to SD. The span mode enables the display of a single image across 2 screens. The V-1600HD includes the ability to edge blend in order to achieve a seamless image. The split mode displays 2 video sources on a single display and is useful for interviews or comparing 2 sources side by side. The dual mode enables the ability to send 2 different sources to separate outputs where each can be switched individually. This mode can also be used for 3D display if you happen to have 3D video sources. Now let's take a look at each of these 5 modes. First, the DSK mode. Confirm this mode is set in the system menu DSK. DSK stands for that downstream key, which means a designated video source appears as the last item in the video chain. What this enables is the ability to transition other video sources, turn on picture-in-picture, turn on the upstream keyer, all while keeping the DSK source locked on the screen. The end result is the ability to produce an output image with 3 different layers. Now, this would typically be used to display lyrics or a logo while still allowing full video mixing and compositing underneath. First, we must decide which sources are DSK and what color we want to make transparent or key on. This is set by pressing the DSK button under the setup area. The bottom parameter selects the source. This is usually set to 12, but can really be set to any input source. The third parameter helps us select between white or black luminance and green or blue chroma keying. Make sure the preview monitor button is set, then select the background image via the preview bus buttons. Now press the preview button on the right side of the mixer in the DSK section. Now you can adjust the level and gain knobs. Level is for controlling the key color level, and gain is for adjusting the level of transparency and edge blur. Once it's adjusted to your liking, just press the DSK key. The source will go live, overlaid, and the DSK button will go red. Now you are free to mix underneath, turn on picture-in-picture, or turn on another key, all while displaying this single DSK source. To remove, just press the DSK button again. The DSK indicator light will go off. Let's move on to the AUX mode by changing the mode in the system menu. Set to AUX and hit enter. The AUX mode allows two different video formats to be output simultaneously. For example, an HD signal to a recorder while sending RGB to a projector, or an HD signal to a projector and a standard definition signal to a DVD recorder. Selection of formats is made in the output menu. Select the output format independently for both the program and the AUX bus. You can then assign the program or auxiliary to each of the different output connectors on the back panel. In this mode, the DSK is not available, but the transition effects, the keyer, and picture-in-picture are all fully functioning. The span mode enables the display of a single image across two separate screens. First, in the bus structure in the system menu, let's change to span mode. Now, push the output setup button for output 1. You can see, typically you will want to adjust the zoom and position to the center left portion of the image. Now do the same for output 2, but to the right side. You will want to maintain some overlap in the middle to enable a seamless join of the two projectors using the built-in edge blending. You can see that by moving to page 3 of the output menu, where you can see many parameters available for precisely controlling the blending of the edges, including the gray, white, black offsets, gamma adjustments, as well as the ability to link the two outputs edge blending settings together. With built-in edge blending, the V-1600HD makes two-screen, single-image output possible without the need for specialized projectors or external video processors. The split mode displays two video sources on a single display, ideal for interviews or comparing two video sources side by side. First, set the bus structure under the system menu to the split mode. To select the left image, choose sources on the program bus, the right image from the preview bus. The channels that are red are the current program output. The channels that are green are being previewed. Select the new output channels, then select Take or move the T-bar. If you want to keep one image the same while changing another, just press the red channel button again so that no green button is lit on that particular bus. By selecting the AUX button under the monitor area, you can preview a source. The solid green is the source that is currently being previewed on the monitor. To add a border between the two images, press the Output Setup button, page through to the 4th page. Here you can see the parameters for border width and color. Dual mode enables two video inputs to be switched individually to two different display devices. This mode is typically used for multi-screen production. It can also be used for 3D video switching. First, set the mixer to dual mode in the system menu. The selected channel on the program bus is output from number 1 output connector. associated with HD, SD-SDI, and the DVI-D output connectors. The preview bus is output from the connector labeled number 2 on those same output connectors. The channels that are red are the current output. The channels that are green are being previewed. Select the new output channels that you want, then select Take or move the T-bar. If you want to keep one of the channels the same image while changing another one, press the red channel again so that the green button goes on that particular bus. By selecting the AUX button under the monitor area, you can preview a source. The solid green is the source that's being previewed on the monitor. In addition to the 5 modes we've just reviewed, the V-1600HD also has a very unique and powerful feature called multi-zoom. This function enables the look of a multi-camera production just by using 1 or 2 cameras. The scaling function that is part of each input can be zoomed into any position of the image, enabling the look of a completely different camera. Let's look at how to accomplish this. Let's take the example of a small recital. Let's frame the camera as a wide shot of the whole stage and connect it to channel 1. Now let's use the through connectors on channel 1 to connect to the channel 2 input, and then take the channel 2 through port and connect it to the channel 3 input. Now press the input setup button and enter into channel number 2 menu page. When we do this, we can see that we can zoom in and frame it around one of the musicians. And then let's do the same for channel 3, framing a different musician that's on the stage. Now, as we switch between these 3 sources, we have the appearance that additional cameras are connected, even though we've only connected 1. Multi-camera production is now made possible by using this function with just a few cameras. With so many useful and powerful modes, setups can easily be stored and recalled instantly with the memory function. We have 8 banks of 8 memory positions for a total of 64. So if I like this particular setup that we've just finished with, I simply press Store, the bank number, and the memory number that we want. It's stored. To recall a setup, simply select the bank memory number and it is instantly recalled. I can filter whatever parameters are stored by going to the second page of the System menu. When we go into this menu, hitting Enter under the Memory Storage area shows how I can turn on or off whether a certain parameter is stored. Keep in mind too that memory position 1 is recalled when the V-1600HD is powered up. The memory function is a very helpful feature in complex productions and in changing configurations. There are a number of features we did not cover today, so make sure you review your owner's manual as well as the multi-screen modes reference guide. It's available on our website. As you can see, the V-1600HD has many powerful advantages that can benefit any visual production. It supports all the necessary various video formats, both on the input and on the output. It has fast signal processing, so there are no latency issues to worry about. It's ready to go in a rack mount footprint, including this built-in large high-resolution display monitor. It has various multi-screen modes to cope with any situation, including the amazing multi-zoom feature. So for any live concert, corporate, educational, house of worship application, the V-1600HD is the answer to high quality, powerful, and innovative video production.